Hello everyone. Here we are, a live stream. Yesterday we didn't do one because of Labor Day, but I thought we'd give it a try today. So just wait for a few people to trickle in and make sure the messages are working. Hello, Dinosaurs Terror World. One of our first ones in. Hello and welcome. You notice Kelly's not with me today. She is teaching a dance class as she usually does on Tuesday. William Russell, welcome. Potato Derp, welcome. Hi. Wow, people are building up fast. That's nice. I'm glad you could all make it. I'm trying to do it a little earlier today. It's kind of hard to do that on Mondays, but on Tuesday it's easier. So, HC Aqua in the house. Sean Meister in the house. Thank you for joining us. This is great. It looks like we're going to have a good group today. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about, I have some news that I find exciting. This past, it's been like 8-10 days or something like that, my Python broke. Nice to see you too, Dinosaur Terror World. Thank you for joining us. Anyway, it broke, and I just got a new replacement part in the mail, so I'm excited about that. I can change my aquarium water. I know that may not be exciting to all of you, but to me it's extremely exciting, and to my fish I'm sure it is as well. So we don't have a particular topic, it's just I'm going to be answering questions. Q&A, you can throw it at me. Now, Illuminati, find the light. How's it going, man? It's going pretty well. Had a good Labor Day. I hope you're doing well too. How many things you order online? Dinosaur Terror World says, oh, I ordered a lot of things online. We don't have local fish stores in my area anymore, unfortunately. They all went out of business. So I can go to a big box pet store, but other than that I have to order or drive for quite a long time before I can get to one. Red Oh My from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, joining in. Great. Thank you for being here. Oh, where am I? Yeah, I'm on my deck. I just figured that would be fun. Hey, the Vividend's in here. Fish, he says. Well, it's a fish emoji. It looks like I'm in the forest. Yeah, our backyard looks like a forest. And Danger Neon 42 says you should open your own pet store. I have thought about doing that. That would be cool. Red Oh My says, you're very welcome. Oh. Dinosaurs Terror World has, how many species of fruit flies do you have? Right now I'm only culturing Melanogaster, Drosophila melanogaster, the smaller ones. I have cultured Drosophila hydei, the larger ones, in the past, but currently not doing that. So Efrain Acevedo Jr., hi from Chicago. Excellent. The Vividend says I won't be able to stay for long, but hello everyone. Well, thank you for joining us, the Vividend. I'm really glad that you did. Let's see, where was I? Dinosaurs Terror World says, have you ever thought on making an intro? Yes, I have. In fact, I used intros in some of my really older videos, and I haven't done it for a while, but I'm thinking of doing a very short intro, because what I've learned about YouTube is that intros are great, but you want to make them short. And a lot of people actually talk a little bit before they do their video and then run the short intro right after that. So I might do something like that. Illuminati Find the Light says, if you opened a shop, where would it be? I'm down in Florida. Well, that's a good question, because at this point it's kind of a pipe dream. I would love to do it, and I've been to Florida. I like Florida. That wouldn't be a bad place to do it. But right now I'm in Utah, so I guess if I'm going to do it anytime soon, that's where it would be. Dinosaurs Terror World, if you had the chance to ask me a question, what would it be? I'd say, how's the claymation going that you asked me about? That's probably what I'd ask. And also, how long have you had your reptiles? Because I know Dinosaurs Terror World has several. Okay, William Russell says, I have a 400 to 500 gallon pond in Houston full of cherry shrimp. Will they make it through the winter? Wow. Okay. Let's see. My guess is, well, Houston has a pretty mild winter, but I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it depends on how severe the winter is. If you get some unseasonable cold weather, they might not make it. But I've heard of people keeping them outside with a thin layer of ice on top of the water, and they still made it. They're tougher than people give them credit for a lot of the time. That's a good question. I'm not sure. Does anybody keep cherry shrimp out. Have they kept them out year-round in fairly warm climates like Houston? And Schoenmeister says, we're in Utah. I'm in Taos, New Mexico. Cool, so we're almost neighbors. I'm actually in a small town called Layton, up in the north. And let's see. Dinosaur Terror World has had his African fat-tailed gecko for 4 years. The Vividin says, have you ever thought about keeping arowanas? I know that the tank would be huge, but just think of the awesomeness factor. Very true. They're very cool. I haven't thought much about it because the Asian arowanas, which are the really colorful ones, are illegal in the US. You can sometimes get, I've seen silver arowanas in the pet stores, but they're even bigger and harder to take care of and not quite as pretty. They can get to be like 4 feet long, so that's cool. And I have seen them in the pet stores. It's been a while, but I have seen them. The Turtle Girl is back. I remember the Turtle Girl joining us before. Hello. And Efrain Acevedo Jr. says, what can you tell me about multifasciatus? And you're probably talking about Neolamprologus multifasciatus. And they are an amazing little fish. They're really easy to take care of. They need high pH, like most Lake Tanganyika cichlids. That's where they're from. They need shells, or you can use PVC elbows with one side blocked off and keep them in there. You need a couple of, let's see, you'd need at least a 10-gallon tank. I would recommend one larger. From my experience, I started some out in a 20 high and realized that sure, they're fine in the 20 high, but they really deserve more space. I looked online and found setups where they were in much larger tanks, and the effect is much cooler, so I moved them to a 29, and I'm excited about that. So that is a lot of fun to watch them reproduce. They will make little communities, like little territories, where you'll have one group here, one group over here. I have 3 groups. I have a male and a female on the right side of the tank. In the middle of the tank, I have a male and a female and several of the progeny. And actually, the male and female on the one side now have 1 fry. The one in the middle have several fry. They probably have 7 or 8 fry right now. And then there's one on the left side that doesn't have any fry. And then up above, there are territorialist fish. Fish without territories. Territorialist. That's hard to say. I'm not sure it's a real word, but it's really cool to keep them. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an intro to multifasciatus. They're really fun fish. I do recommend them. Their behaviors are always interesting. Potato Derp says, why won't my painted lady butterflies breed? They've had a huge chunk of fennel for a while and they haven't made it at all. Well, I do recognize painted lady butterflies. I see them around here, but I don't know much about them. So that's a very good question. If anybody has bred painted lady butterflies, then let us know. And Dinosaur Terror Worlds, do you breed fairy shrimp? I have before. I've raised them, and at least one variety has reproduced for me. I'm not currently doing it, but I have before, and I've raised several species. Let's see. Let's see, where are we? And William Russell says, it's just a lot to bring in, all those shrimp. Yes, I agree. What I would probably do in your case, because it is such a lot to bring in, is bring a good number in the largest tank you can, and just keep those, and then do your best at keeping that pond alive, keeping it warm enough during the winter. Seeing what you can do with, they have those pond covers to help insulate the pond and keep it warmer, and there are a few other things you can do in case it gets really cold. So that's what I would do in your case. And let's see. Danger Neon 42, did you ever capture keep illegal pets as a kid and not know it? Yeah, I actually did, unfortunately. In my state, I found out when I was much older that to chase a reptile of any kind, to harass it, to bug its burrow, to chase it around, to capture it, is actually illegal without a permit. And I did that at the time. So yeah, I have done that. So the Turtle Girl says, shell dwellers are so neat. And I really agree. Some of them are brightly colored, like the Aukies or the Aussies. Some of them are not, like the multifasciatus that I have, but they're just all cool. I think someday I might try the ocellatus. They are quite cool too. So how many invertebrates do you have? I would have to count them. That's what I need to do, because people ask me that and I don't really know. And do I have a tortoise? I don't have a tortoise, but someday I would love to have tortoises. Why am I recording outside? Well, I just thought it would be fun. It's one of the last times I'll probably have a chance to. It's going to start getting cold pretty soon. And because we have a fire going on in the mountains, and it's kind of smoky in the house and smoky out of the house, but at least now I don't have to listen to the blow of the swamp cooler keeping us awake. I'm not keeping us awake, keeping us distracted. I don't want you to have to hear it. So, okay. Let's see. I'm scrolling through here, making sure I'm trying not to miss things. Okay. So, Efrain Acevedo Jr. says, I have 3 and a 55 long, the multifasciatus. Well, if you have other fish in there, or even if you don't, whether or not you do, those fish are likely going to breed if you have at least one male and one female, and you could end up with a lot of them. So put a lot of shells in there if you want to, and that'll be crazy. So you'll get a ton of them. It'll be fun. I've heard of people doing a tank, and I want to try this sometime. Multifasciatus in a 55 with cyprochromis cichlids or sardine cichlids, which are really interestingly colored up at the top. So that would be really cool. So Red Omai said Edward raised dragonfly larvae in the ponds. Let's see. Oh, are you probably asking the one who has the pond? William, probably asking that. Okay. So, you're welcome, Efrain Acevedo Jr. Dinosaurs Terror World said, I cultured triops a year ago and they died 12 days after they hatched. That is common. I will eventually make a video about triops, another one. I made one about vernal pool organisms, but I need to make that one like a how-to of triops, because I've found that most of the instructions you get with triops are pretty pointless. They don't work very well, and if I've kind of found out how to do it, and I've raised them many times successfully, so I need to share that with people. So let's see. Simply Beta is in the house too. Hi. We're looking. How your Daphnia doing? When I last heard from you, they're doing really well, and I hope that is still the case. Jeremiah Nat says, oh hey, there's a live chat, lucky me. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Jeremiah. Potato Derp says, I don't know if you read the comment already, but I think I'll put a few beaver tail fairy shrimp in my Brachyneca tank. They're another kind of fairy shrimp. This is a much larger tank, by the way. Good. It's worth trying. And then Dinosaurs Terror World says, it's a good thing that you're recording outside so I don't hear the annoying sound of crickets. Yes, that's one thing. If I record in my critter room, you're going to hear crickets. And now you don't hear many. I hear one, but hopefully with the microphone you don't. And William Russell says, yes, he does get dragonfly larvae in the pools, but the shrimp and fish breed so fast the dragonfly larvae don't affect the population. I guess with a 400 to 500 gallon pond, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, and Dinosaurs Terror World says, sorry for not doing the snake animation. I'm really sorry. That's okay. I understand. But that's fine. I know you're going to try another one, so that's cool. HC Aqua says, I hear it. You hear the cricket. Okay. And sorry about that, folks. Nothing I can do. I'm not even sure where this one's coming from. And Jeremiah says, wild crickets sound better than feeders. That's true. I like the black field crickets sound better than the brown house crickets. And I actually like the snowy tree crickets, which we have a lot of around here. They're going to start up when it gets dark. They are beautiful. I like them. They're my favorite. Potato Derp says, it feels weird buying a third pack of fairy shrimp eggs since the triop ate the others. Yeah, you know what? With almost all the time I get vernal pool organisms, when I buy vernal pool organisms, I almost always use half of them because I know I have a chance to try them. So I put half the packet of eggs in. So can I put 2 clown loaches in with them? In with your multis. They'll probably be fine in terms of survival. I don't know how that'll affect the breeding. I rather suspect it'll make they won't breed as effectively, but you never know. I mean, they are tough fish. Simply Beta says, my live food collection is getting huge. Daphnia and scuds from you, grindle worms, micro and banana worms, black worms, super worms, and black soldier fly cultures. Wow. Whew. That is a nice collection. I like that. I've been wanting to try the black soldier flies, but I've heard they don't do well here. Let me know how they do in your area. You're north of me, and I wonder if you can get them to work, then maybe I can. See how that goes. And I want to try blackworms too. That's one I haven't done. All those other ones, I'm either... no, I haven't done superworms yet. I'm planning on doing that. I've done grindleworms extensively. Used to sell a lot of those on Aquabid back in the day. And micro and banana worms too. And I'm doing microworms right now. Not doing banana worms at the moment, but have before. They're all great. Blackworms though, I wanted to try that first of all because a lot of people ask for it. And I just think it's kind of fascinating that they reproduce the way they do. So... Illuminati Find the Light says, I think I'm the only one who likes the sounds made by all and any crickets. Well, it's probably a rare breed, but I actually like all crickets. I just don't like the house crickets as much as the other ones. Jeremiah said, I saw in one of your past videos that you keep composting worms. And he thought on doing a video on that. Yes, I have thought about that and I need to do it. They're actually pretty easy to do on a small scale in a house if you want to, and breed them for feeding to fish or reptiles or amphibians. And we've done that quite a bit. I've probably have, I don't know, 6 years of experience breeding those, and I'm maybe more, and I'm just not doing it right now, but I need to get back into that and make a video about it because they're really nice, easy to do. And Jeremiah says, I am so jealous of black soldier fly larvae too far north. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work for me or not. We'll see. My cousin's wife, who is into critters like I am, so is my cousin, both are, I think they said they tried it, and they just live like an hour south of me, and it didn't work for them, so we'll see. But, okay, let's see. And Dinosaurs Terror World says, the reason why I subscribed to you at the beginning is because you make videos about isopods. Oh, good. Yeah, I do love isopods, and they're certainly useful to have. Simply Beta says, I have a black soldier fly cage in my fish room where it is warm and humid, and they give me tons of eggs. Oh, cool. So you're doing a completely indoor one. Okay. Yeah, the ones I've heard of around here were the outdoor kind, where they have the container where the larvae themselves get pushed out of that little chute, and you just collect them. So the indoor one, I haven't even looked into that. So that's interesting. I'd love to know more about how that goes for you. And Dinosaurs Terror World says, are crickets annoying to you? Not so much. I hear them. I mean, like I said, I don't like the brown crickets as much, the house crickets as much, but I hear them every day and all night, all year. So it doesn't bug me that much. Down the Wormhole says, red worms are awesome. I agree. They're pretty amazing. And you can go to the pet store and get a culture to start if you're not going to raise a huge amount or you don't care how long it takes. You can get a culture for just like $3. At least in my area, and then start breeding them, and it's great. I used to, when I first started, there was a different species. It wasn't the redworms, because I lived in Hawaii and redworms are illegal there, but they had another species that you can raise there, and but they're kept just exactly the same way. And I used to raise them for my pea puffer and my goldfish and stuff, and I would just give them I would give my pea puffer the newly hatched worms, and he was fine with that. As soon as they hatched, they were great for him. So, Potato Derp says, I don't think Daphnia longispina is good for culturing. They will only breed to a few individuals per gallon. I should get some magna. They live in very dense populations. You know, that, I've worked with that species before, the vernal pool species, longispina, and yeah, I agree. They don't, they will, the density is okay, but it's not anywhere near what you can get with some of the other species. So, yeah, I agree. And Jeremiah Nat says, I'm currently working on African night crawlers, but it's slow going. How do those differ from redworms in culture? I think I've read a little about them, but I don't remember much. So that would be interesting to find out. Let's see. Where are we? And yeah, so Simply Beta says, yep, totally indoors for the black soldier fly larva. I'll make a video on it one of these days, and I will look forward to it. HC Aqua says, we have a culture of black soldier fly doing okay here outdoors. And pardon my memory, but I don't remember where you are, HC Aqua, so if you can remind me, that could be helpful. Dinosaurs Terror World says, where's your wife? Yeah, I did explain that at the beginning of the video, but a lot of you weren't here, so I'll explain that again. She is teaching a dance class. She typically does that on Tuesday during the school year. And because yesterday was a holiday, we didn't do a live stream, so I'm doing it solo tonight. Okay. And do you only breed microworms? No, I breed lots of different kinds of worms. At least I have. Right now I'm breeding microworms, and if we want to go with loose definitions of worms, they're of course not real worms, but let's see. I'm doing microworms and mealworms, but I've done Walter worms and Grindle worms and banana worms and lots of other kinds. William Russell says, the pond also has pandacories. Was hoping they would breed. How do you think they will handle the winter? Half the pond is 3 feet deep. I guess it depends again on how cool the winter gets. If you get, what is your average minimum temperature in the winter? I'm guessing they wouldn't do too well, but it also depends on how cold it gets. So if you have some data on the average minimum temperature for there in Houston, that could be helpful. Jeremiah says, well, there it is. I've heard iffy things about biopods for black soldier fly larvae. Indoor breeding is supposedly hard due to temps, lighting requirements, but getting them to go from grubs to flies is easy. They are my favorite maggot. That's some useful information. And I am intrigued. I don't know that Kelly will ever let me try them in the house, but she might let me try it outside. Their grubs are so, their larvae are so nutritious, high in calcium, really easy to raise. So, Dinosaurs Terror World says, I'm thinking on getting some new species of isopods. What species are you looking at? I know you're in Qatar, if I remember correctly. What kinds of species can you get there? Can you get any of those fantastic Spanish species? Because those are incredible. Okay, let's see. And Simply Better is asking Jeremiah, talking to Jeremiah, saying, African night crawlers, I didn't know they could be kept in captivity. Let's see. Do you use a microphone for the live stream? Yes, I do. Hopefully I'm not making a mess with it. Here it is, right here. It's just, is it too far away? Do I need to speak more loudly? Am I doing okay? Can everybody hear me all right? Let's see. Oh, HC Aqua says Oahu. Right. That's whatever it was. And so that makes sense, that the weather is pretty mild there, so it makes sense they do well. And Simply Better says, maybe I'm thinking of getting those giant night crawlers. I might actually do that myself. Potato Herb says, is it possible to culture bloodworms? Well, here's an answer for you on that one. I have had a lot of people ask me about culturing bloodworms. And I guess in a loose sense, I have done it. But let me explain how that works. I have raised things outside in, containers of water. And occasionally, bloodworms will get in there and reproduce. The adults, which are flies much like mosquitoes, will come and lay eggs. Oh, I will be right back. I have to take care of something. I'll be back in like 4 seconds. Unfortunately, I realized I had left the screen door open, and I'm going to get in trouble for letting flies into the house. So I just fixed that. Okay. So where were we? Yeah, the bloodworms. Bloodworms will not breed in large numbers, for me at least. They will breed, and sometimes when I find a container with mosquito larvae in it, it will have bloodworms in it in a much lower density than the mosquito larvae. Or I had some fairy shrimp out last summer that I raised, and I got a few bloodworms in there, and I used them. They make great food, but I never get. I've never raised them in really particularly impressive numbers, so it's never been something that has worked out for whatever reason. I need to look into it more, but I've never get them in huge numbers. Would you like to breed roaches? Yeah, I would actually, as food for my creatures. I think that would be great, but I can't because Kelly will not let me. Efrain Acevedo Jr. said, you should set up your own tank and keep me updated. It would be nice to see you expanding to different kinds of fish. Yeah, it would. I've actually kept a large number of different kinds of fish, but I haven't made a lot of changes lately, and I'm actually thinking of doing one tank that is like a switch-out tank. Like every year, I get a new fish, or maybe every 6 months, something like that. Get a new species of fish, raise it, breed it, and so on, make some videos about it, the whole process, and then sell them all off and start over, because I have limited space and limited time, so I have to be careful about what I do. But I would really like to kind of expand that way, because I've probably only bred about 20 species of fish. Usually when I try to figure which species I've bred, it's around 20. I've probably kept, well, a lot more than that, but I've only bred about 20 species of fish, and I really want to branch out. So William Russell says temperatures in the 60s. Well, in the 60s, you actually might be fine with pendicories. If the temperature of the water never goes under that, you might actually be okay. Especially since outdoors, fish tend to be a lot more hardy about temperature than otherwise. So, could make sense. So, Danger Neon 42, what's the smallest pet you own? I guess it depends on what you mean by pet, but I'm going to go with some of my baby shell dwellers, which are like the size of a baby guppy or smaller. Probably actually much smaller than that. Quite a bit smaller than a baby guppy. So, sorry I'm slow, everyone. I'm trying to go through and make sure I don't miss everything. Okay, microphone placement is perfect. Good. Have you ever thought on getting some non-venomous spider species? I've kept jumping spiders, like Phidippus audax, before. I'm not really... Kelly's not a big spider fan, so I have to be careful about that. let's see. Oh, well, non-venomous spiders. Yeah, that's true. Jeremiah Nat says there are very few non-venomous spiders. And that is true. I think maybe what Dinosaurs Terror World means is non-medically significant spiders, which is a very different thing. That's true. It's a good point to bring up, Jeremiah. Okay. So, let's see. I'm trying to get back to where we were. How are your dart frogs doing? They're all doing great. I'm really tempted to breed them, but I did find out from the breeder that they're siblings, so I'm probably going to have to at least trade one out before I do that. I don't know. He says it's fine, and maybe it is. Maybe I can go ahead and do it. Jeremiah Nat says roaches are way less gross than crickets. In my opinion, I agree. But my wife doesn't, so that's okay. I would rather have her happy than have roaches. Philip Conroy's in the house. Awesome. So Potato Derp says, do Brachynechter hatch without drying the eggs? I watched a documentary about Brachynechter and the eggs hatched in the water, but mine is a different species. Yeah, I don't know. The species that I had of fairy shrimp that I found that I'm not sure, I never identified it, it did hatch. It produced eggs and they hatched without drying, but and that's one of the species I've raised, the only one that I've done multi-generationally. I think I lost the second or third generation, but yeah, hatched without drying, but I don't know. And Shane says, hello, my friend. Hello, chat. Welcome, Shane. Glad to see you here. And Jeremiah says, springtails will compete slightly with food for isopods, but they won't kill them. Right. They seem to do really well. Tarantula Boy agrees. No, they're fine with isopods. Potato Dirt, but springtails are harmless. And I actually like to keep them together with my isopods and my millipedes. They do well. I don't keep isopods with my millipedes. That can be a problem, but I keep springtails with them. In fact, a lot of times instead of setting up a culture for springtails specifically, I set up millipedes and put springtails in, and then whenever I want to harvest springtails, they do so well with the millipedes that I just harvest them from there. Jeremiah Nat says, only spider that ever bit me was a jumper. I have kept 40 plus tarantulas over the years and never been bitten except by a jumper. Was it a Phidippus audax? William Russell says, what is your favorite size aquarium? And if space and money were not an issue, what size aquarium would you keep and what would you keep? I would go as big as possible, whatever I could fit. I love what the king of DIY, Joey, is doing with his 2,100 gallon aquarium. I know some other big YouTubers are doing similar things. Aquarium Co-op has an 800 gallon aquarium. I would go as big as possible. I would love to do freshwater stingrays, and the cool thing is my wife would be totally happy with freshwater stingrays too. So yeah, that would be it, I think. We'd put some other fish in there too. Okay. Let's see. Where I'm losing. Okay, sorry, I'm catching up. Roger Dedham, any experience with triops? Yes, I have raised triops successfully many times. If you have any specific questions about them, let me know. I am planning on doing a video of them eventually, but I haven't done one for a while. I have a couple of videos with footage of my triops in them, but I've never done like a how-to video. So if you have any questions, I'm totally happy to answer. Potato Derp says, give a brief description of the fairy shrimp. I'm good at identifying them. Well, they didn't have any unusual colors. They reached about an inch or a little over an inch. I wish I could remember more. It's been seriously a long time, like when I was first married, so almost 20 years ago. I wish I wish I could give you more information. Okay, so Jeremiah says, Russ, no idea on species of jumper. I only know tarantulas. Okay. And if money wasn't a problem, what species of reptiles would you have? One of them would be, I think I'd get a blue-tongued skink, because Jeremiah actually convinced me that that's a good idea, and I think it is. And I would set up a bioactive setup for it too. That would be one of them anyway. My first reptile, ooh, it was a garter snake, I think, that I caught, and I kept several of those. Potato Derp says, what did their tail look like, and did they have long or round egg pouches? I'm pretty sure they had elongate egg pouches, but I can't remember anything about the color. But I do remember looking at the eggs. Shane says, I have a feeling rules improved, probably imposed by wife is a more limiting factor for us than finance. Well, finance is definitely a limit. But yeah, I do have certain rules that I have to follow. So, and Jeremiah Nat says, haha, nice. Pete says hi, which is his blue-tongued skink. So, the Dinosaurs Terror World says, I'm thinking of naming Rusty for your nickname. Well, you know what? Somebody beat you to it. That was my nickname as a child. And some of my relatives still call me that. Some of my aunts and uncles still call me that. So my parents don't anymore. But yeah. Philip Conroy says, one of the only live foods I feed my axolotls is crickets. I might try roaches then. Yeah, I do give my axolotls, I've given them, well, our axolotl crickets and redworms. And successfully. They work well. A lot of times we'll do a freshly molted cricket, but they'll take them otherwise too. I don't think they like the wings a whole lot. So sometimes an immature cricket. So Potato Derp says, sounds like either Brachynephila or Streptocephalus. Cool. And Jeremiah Nat says, the bioactive setup didn't work long term. Womp womp. Couldn't keep up with the shed scales. Really? Interesting. What kind of, what was your cleanup crew? I'm curious, because if you were to put, say, there are certain isopods that really love shed skin, reptile skin. I wonder if we could help with that. And Jeremiah Nat says, my limiting factor is time. That's definitely a limiting factor for me as well. Extremely limiting. Which is why a lot of my pets are very, very low maintenance. Why I have so many bioactive setups, because they're so low maintenance, things like that. And a lot of inverts that don't need a lot of time, that kind of stuff. So Dinosaurs Terror World says, do you culture Daphnia both indoors and out? Yes, I do. I have a couple of buckets. Outside, and then I've got my 20-gallon tank inside. So yeah, I typically, when I can, I like to do both of them. So Efrain Acevedo Jr. said, I would like to see that. I would buy some from you. So I lost what they were talking about there. Oh, Jeremiah Nut said cleanup crew was all beneficial, bacteria and fungi, no macro cleaners. Okay, I got something for you then. I would say go with some isopods in there, some micro isopods, like the white, micro whites. I think they would take care of your scales, seriously. If you ever want to try it again, they love things like that. And they're, what is the temperature that you keep yours at? I know they're, Australian and so on. So I'm sure they'd be fine. They would do extremely well in there and eat all of it. I mean, when our lizards shed, if they drop any, it's gone. The isopods eat it up. So yeah, you'll need those. And I would put springtails in too. I would go with both. In all of our setups with anything big, actually all of our bioactive setups have both springtails and isopods. I would definitely go with that. And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. So, and Shane says macro will be absolutely necessary for a large item like scale, certainly. So he's agreeing with me. Cool. And Roger Dedham says they're a Russian variant of Daphnia. There is a variety called Russian Red that was supposedly isolated from a pool in a zoo where alligators were kept in Moscow. And so their nickname is Russian Red Daphnia. That is the variety that I have now, was sold to me that way, but there's some confusion about which species is what. Anyway, that's how they were sold to me, and they're extremely hardy as the Russian Reds are supposed to be. So, Dinosaurs Terror World says, what feeder animal are you planning on getting in the future? Well, a couple. I want to do blackworms, like I mentioned before, and superworms. I want to do those fairly soon. Those are two that are like the two that appear to my mind right now. There are others, of course. I want to try silkworms as well. Silkworms are fantastic. They are really nutritious, and they have enzymes in them that allow the animals that eat them to absorb calcium more effectively. So I really want to try that. And I've actually had a listener that mentioned, they might actually give me some. So, or get me some, we'll do some sort of a deal. So Jeremiah says, I keep my hotspot at 90, but it can get down at the upper 60s on the other end. I think that would be fine for them, because they'll be fine at close to 90. They'd probably be fine at 90, and they love 70s and 80s, especially high 70s and up to mid 80s. So I think they would do great. I think it's worth it. Let's see. And Philip Conroy says, yeah, they used to eat Daphnia and bloodworms, but they seem like to hunt things down, so any easy to breed, keep live foods would be better for their diet. Oh, I got lost where we were talking about. Sorry, I'm trying. There's a lot of contributors here, and that's great. It's awesome, but sometimes I get lost. So just bear with me. My fault. Jerry Manat said, Pete is right by the exterior wall. Been there for years, so doing awesome. Radiant heat panel is awesome. So doing really well. Good. Simply Beta said, I'm a first-time beardy owner, and my girl is going through brumation, I think. It's really freaking me out. Well, that's cool. I've, excuse me. I haven't really kept beardies, but I have brumated various creatures before. I brumated my green anoles years ago, and that worked pretty well. So hopefully it goes well for you, but I've talked to people about it and read about it. It seems like brumation is pretty good for them too, and we may actually brumate our leopard gecko this year. We didn't last year, but we might do it this time around. And let's see. Jeremiah Nat said, silkworms are great in theory. In practice, I bought them and nobody wanted them. Interesting. Well, too bad I wasn't around. I probably would have bought some. Let's see. So Anna Vardy says, how is the clone crested gecko? Doing really well. Definitely a male. Definitely growing quite a bit. He had a recent small issue with some shedding on his nose, but that seems to be clearing up. I need to check on him again, see how he's doing there. We increased the humidity temporarily in his enclosure to get that working again. But he seems to be doing fine. His eye still is a lot smaller on one side, so his right eye is much smaller than his left, if I'm getting the directions right. But yeah, he's doing great, eating very well, growing. So Bagus Laksono says, hi from Indonesia. Awesome, thank you for joining us. Shane says, all of my species take them, so we're talking about silkworms, though culturing them in the home just took too much attention on my end. That makes sense. I mean, having to feed them either the mulberry leaves or the mulberry chow is probably kind of time consuming. Dinosaurs Terror World says, my superworm culture is growing inside. Good. And is the Wi-Fi good? It seems to be doing okay here. Is it feeling laggy? Are you planning on getting some new species of snake? Well, my youngest daughter, really wants a green snake, probably a smooth green snake. Oh, here comes an airplane. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, sorry about that. Inevitable. Nothing I can do about it when the airplanes come over, except for wait patiently and remember that they're helping to protect my country, and I'm grateful for that. So that's about where I am. So Jeremiah says, I've tried superworms multiple times. Always goes moldy. And Philip Conroy says, how are your shell dwellers doing? Well, I'm planning on doing an update fairly soon. They're doing really well, breeding, growing, and this is exciting for me. The third generation has shown up. One of my females from the second generation has found a mate from the first generation. Hopefully they're not too closely related. It's definitely not mother-father thing, but they found each other, have been paired up for a while, and she has started producing fry, which is exciting for me. So, did you see my question, Potato Derp says, about if you saw my question about the movement of the fairy shrimp? Sorry, what was the question? Sorry about the loudness, everybody, too. So Shane says, the smooth green snake will love the silkworm. Similar grubs have been found to make a large portion of the wild diet. Cool. So if we are able to get those, then that would be awesome. I would love it. So Dinosaurs Terror World says, what species of fish are you breeding? Only multis at the moment, but I may breed my Julidochroma soon. Shane says, getting very late here for me. Enjoy. Oh, it died. Let me try again. They're all dying. I can't get my chat back. Where's my chat? Oh, my chats are gone. Uh-oh. That's so sad. What happened, everybody? I'm going to try to reboot it, sort of. Not reboot it, but you know what I mean. Get it to work. Oh. I can tell people are there. Everybody send messages, please, because it died. If you just sent a message and you're trying to get me to say something, they're all gone. I'm not sure, this has never happened to me before. So those of you who are out there, please send me another message. I'll see if I can get them to come in. Oh, here they come. Okay, good. Thank you. Shane says, getting very late here for me. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Everybody take care of us. Thank you so much, Shane, for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Okay. Let's see. Is this working? Yes, it is. Thank you. And Shane says, just saying good night, Aquarimax. Okay. Good night, Shane, and thank you again. I'm so excited that you're here and that you joined us today. So Potato Derp says, what is the pace of those fairy shrimp? Are they slow and calm like Thamnocephalus, or are they quick and frantic? I would say they're more on the calm side. And Yeah, that's what I would say. They're more calm. I wish I haven't found any since. Those are like the only fairy shrimp I've ever found out in the wild. I've kept red-tailed fairy shrimp that I've purchased online and things like that. But thank you, Shane. He says, good night, guys. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up when you leave. And so that would be great. So Dino's Terror World says, can you answer my question? Which one is your question? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up, but there's a lot. Philip Conroy says 140 in the UK. Wow, that is dedication, everyone who's been with us this whole time. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going through to see what kind of questions I may have missed. Oh, what species of fish are you? Oh, I answered that one, so I don't know. Okay. So Jeremiah says, I think he was asking Shane about superworms. Oh, okay. Thank you. And Potato Derp says, they are probably Brachyneca. Streptocephalus is generally more frantically moving. Oh, okay. Good to know. Maybe I can key them out now that I know which genus they're in and see if I can find out what species they are. And Dinosaur Terror World says, on the scale of 1 to 10, how do you like my claymation? Well, I say claymation is really fun. It's a dying art, and I'm glad you're bringing it back. And I don't see many people doing it, so I'd have to say 10 because it's really cool. Okay, Dinosaur Terror World says, how is the dwarf striped isopod culture doing? Doing well. Every time I look in there, there are more. And I found out, this is a funny thing, I had thought my dwarf striped isopod cultures had died out, and so I got this new one not too long ago, a few months ago. But I found out that they are doing really well in my dart frog culture. I was just digging in the substrate and saw a whole bunch of them in there. So yeah, they've been doing fine all the time in there. That's one great thing about bioactive substrates. Often you find you have things. In fact, that's my first dwarf striped isopod culture. Part of it, at least, I isolated from that culture. And William Russell says, thanks for the podcast. First time catching the live stream. Well, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. It's fun to do the podcast. I'm finding that it's becoming less popular. People are not sending in requests and comments as they used to, which is probably just due to various factors, including it that I was starting to slow down on releasing the podcast, so it's probably partly my fault. But I feel like at least the live streams, people are more involved, so that's great. Efrain Acevedo Jr. says, I'm not at home in the moment, but I'll send a picture of my tank setup when I get home. That would be cool. And then we can see how your multis are doing and what possibilities you have. Dinosaur's Terror World says, I smashed the like button with my head and it really hurts. Well, thank you for smashing it. Be careful with your head. And can I see your chickens? Well, from here, unfortunately, they're covered by the trees. But sometime I ought to involve them in the live stream. Why not? At least one of them. Potato Derp says, the males are the main key to identifying brachynecked. They have grabby claspers or long tusks. I can't quite remember. But if you tell me which species is which and I encounter them again, I might be able to figure that out. And Philip Conroy says, loved the last vid on do-it-yourself. The lighting video, right? With the LEDs, making the old useless fluorescent lid into a fluorescent light into a LED light. That was really fun. I loved doing it. It was inspired by the King of DIY, but it was just a little twist. That was fun. So thank you. I'm glad you appreciated it. And here comes a question. Oh, Dinosaur's Terror World says, what happened to your buffalo worms culture? I decided to get rid of it because I heard that they can actually give diseases to chickens, and part of the reason I was culturing them was for my chickens, so I actually got rid of it. And Jeremiah said, I love DIY even if it isn't aquarium stuff or even stuff I'm going to do. I saw a guy do a massive D&D table. Yeah, there's a certain fascination to watch people create things and share it, and share the step-by-step nature of it. That's true. I like that. I really enjoy your live stream, Aquarimax. Are you subscribed to my channel? Yeah, actually, I believe I am. Jeremiah Nat says, which I have zero equipment to do. Haha. I know what you mean. I don't have zero, but I have like 2% of the equipment I need to do a lot of these DIYs. So that's part of the reason I'm not doing it. And Simply Beta says, have a great day, gotta run. Thank you so much for joining us, Simply Beta. It is a pleasure to have you here. Efrain Acevedo Jr. says, I made a drip system and it keeps my water crystal clear. Cool. I want to do that. That's a big DIY project that I've talked about doing for some time and would love to do it. Roger Dedham says, if you cut the plug off, I'm wondering if you could have run both the LED and the fluorescent. Ooh. If I hadn't cut it off, yeah. It's a good question. I wonder what that would do to the photosynthetically available radiation. I'd have to take a par meter and test it, but I don't have a par meter. But that's a good question. Potato Derp said, what would be the best creature to culture as food for Gary? Well, I'm going to give you two possibilities that I think are really good ones, and you can do that with what you want to. But I would say Daphnia, because you can culture them in a half-gallon container if you want to, and just feed them whenever you want. I've done things like that, and they're easy to do. Also, I just like Daphnia anyway, so it's kind of fun just to have them. And then another one would be rice flower beetles, because the larvae are extremely good for bettas. They're the perfect size, they're extremely easy to culture, and you can leave the culture for a long time and not have to do anything. So that's what I would say. And Dinosaurs Terror World says, I think I'm breeding bearded dragons in the future. Wow, that would be quite an undertaking, but it does sound fun. And Jeremiah Nat says, I tend to go AMD, ask my dad. Oh, with DIY projects, yeah, I know what you mean. And Jeremiah says, I don't know, those fluorescents get kind of hot, might fry the LEDs. That's a good point. What would you recommend your first beginner reptile keeper? Well, leopard geckos and crested geckos are up there on that list for sure. They're two really, really easy ones. Jeremiah Net says, springtails are super easy and fun to breed, might need to set up more tubs. Yeah, they are, and those are good fish food. I would say not as much for bettas, but for lots of fish they are. And I really enjoy breeding springtails, and they're super easy. And surface feeding fish of almost any size can take them. Philip Conroy says, any ideas on how to get rid of tannins from my tank? Tried activated carbon, hasn't really done much. In my experience, what is the source of the tannins? Do you have driftwood in there or anything like that? If you do, mine is just keep up the water changes and wait. If you have something else going on with tannins, like you're adding things, it seems like that's got to be probably the main source of tannins in your tank would be something like driftwood, and I would just wait. Yeah, pre-soaking. Jeremiah Nutt says best way to prevent tannins is pre-rinsing, and I would include in that pre-soaking. And it prevents them, definitely. I have done that with like Malaysian driftwood and things like that. It works really well. Heather Silverio, is there a difference between human-grade spirulina and spirulina specific to aquatics for Daphnia? I use the stuff I get at the health food store. As long as it's pure and powdered, it works fine. So that's a great question, Heather. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully that helps. And Jeremiah Nat, have you tried polyester foam at all? And is that getting rid of the, to get rid of the tannins? And Jeremiah says, pre-boiling also helps, but it can weaken the wood. Good point. And Dinosaurs Terror World, do you think I'm breeding hornworms? I don't know if I'd get away with that in my house. They're big. I remember pulling them off my tomatoes when I was a kid and disgusting my relatives with them. So I think I might not get away with it. They're just too big. And Heather says, yes, thank you. Good. Good. Let me know how that works for you. But it's worked really well for me just to get the pure powdered stuff for food grade from the health food store. And Jeremiah Nutt says the polyester foam for the tannins. Yes. Okay. Cool. Dinosaur Terror World, I love your live stream. Thank you. I love to hear that. And oh, Jeremiah Nutt says the hornworms are stinky. Okay, there's another strike against them, I guess. So I probably won't be trying them. And Potato Derp says, missed another question. Dinosaurs Terror World, how's your wife's crested gecko doing? Very well. She had a little issue shedding the other day too, just very minor, but it's resolved now. So Philip Conroy says, one of the pieces I boiled disintegrated. Oh, so yeah, you have to be careful with boiling the wood. And Jeremiah Nat talking about the hornworm said they also have poop that looks exactly like corn nuts, super off-putting. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to eat corn nuts for a really long time after that. William Russell said, do you think construction styrofoam is safe in an aquarium? I've heard of people doing projects and coating them with styrofoam in aquariums. I've never done it myself. So Efrain Acevedo Jr., Hamburg Matten filter, or oh, lost it. Dinosaurs Terror World says, so what is your next upcoming video and how is your daughter's leopard gecko doing? I think it's actually going to be an update of the bioactive vivarium we're keeping her in. She's doing really well in there and the vivarium's doing very well. So I think that's what we're going to do, an update, quite possibly. Oh, Potato Drip said a question about Anastraka and Triops up there. Oh, okay, I guess I missed that. Oh, so the Matten filter, yeah, I see what you're saying. Would it work to get rid of the tannins? I'm not sure. Good question. On Dinosaurs Terror World says, is making a live stream difficult? Well, making a good one might be difficult. I'm not sure. I'm aspiring to make a good one someday. But doing it itself is actually a pretty easy process. So, and what bioactive tank? I'm talking about the leopard gecko vivarium that we set up a couple of months ago. Has it been a couple of months already? Wow. Heather Silverio said, if I sell my extra fish and live foods, is there a license I need? It depends. In general, I would say no. But certain things you have to have permits to ship across state lines and things like that. Generally, if you're breeding something in-state, you're usually okay. If you're sending it across state lines, you have to check your state laws and so on for that. Some things like snails, you have to be really careful with if you're sending them across state lines. I once applied for a permit to do that, to sell snails with the, what am I thinking, the agricultural, why can't I think of the name, APHIS, plant inspection and quarantine, the USDA basically. I applied for a permit for that, but then it ended up not selling the snails. I did get the permit, but it was kind of pointless by that point. But generally selling extra fish and things like that you can do. You just have to be careful about things for sending across state lines, and you also have to check your couriers, what their rules are for sending those things. Some insects like rice flower beetles, for example, there are no laws about sending them across state lines because they're ubiquitous. They exist in every state, so there's not a problem. Others you have to be really careful with, like bean beetles, for example. So depending on which live foods you're raising and any regulations the couriers, the post office or FedEx or whoever you're going to use have, those are the things you have to look into mainly, I think. So Heather Silverio says, I was curious as so many items can be sold, bought on squalid eBay. There are a lot, and I think some people just ignore the rules, honestly. And Roger Dedham says snails and freshwater shrimp are illegal in Maine, so there's a good example. If you were selling them, you'd have to be careful not to, break laws like that. So those are the things that it's important to check on. Good question. One time, Dinosaurs Terror World says, I placed my African fat-tailed gecko on the couch, and it made a mess on the couch. Yes, that does happen. Potato Derp says, sorry, I'm getting impatient. Can you scroll up and read my question? Oh, you know what? I get lost every time I try. Not all Anastraka and Triops live in vernal pool bodies, right? Don't some species live in ponds and swamps? I know that I have seen some large species of fairy shrimp, I think they were beaver tails, in a swamp more than a pond, but it may have been a vernal pool because, as long as it's temporary during part of the year, that means it's vernal. So I'm not sure about that one. And I know there are species of Triops that live in lakes. So yes, so at least one species I know of that lives in Scandinavia that lives in lakes. Okay. All right. And Veranid Guy says, hello, this is cool. So Veranid Guy, do you keep monitor lizards? I'm basing this off your name, or do you just like monitor lizards or whatever? Either way, it's super cool. And thank you for coming. Dinosaurs Terror World says, what inspired you to make YouTube videos? I think it's just the fact that I love animals of all kinds and I love to share what I learn about them. And it was about 6-7 years ago now. My first video, if you go back and look on my channel, is about my rainbow fish, my dwarf neon rainbow fish spawning. There's the courtship behavior. You can see the male flashing and driving the female into the spawning mop and everything. Just made a video there really quickly. That was my first one. And yeah, that's how I started. And then I realized has it been a little over a year that I wanted to make YouTube videos every week. And so my channel has grown quite a bit since I did that. And that keeps inspiring me, the fact that people are interested in having fun with what I do. So Philip Conroy says, getting quite a crowd in here now. We are. It's great. I think this is the biggest one we've ever had with a live stream. Dinosaurs Terror World, how my springtails doing? Oh, you should see them inside my my isopod and my millipede cultures are going crazy. So maybe beaver tails will hatch without drying, Potato Derp says about the fairy shrimp. I don't know. That's a good question. Veranid Guy says, I kept monitor lizards when I was younger. However, I have been unable to recently after starting a family. I intend to get back into it eventually. Veranids and Cyclura are my favorite. Oh, Cyclura, those are those rhinoceros iguanas, right? I love those too. They're all super cool. My son wants a big lizard of some type someday. Philip Conroy, can't wait for this channel to reach as high as Joey's. Oh, if that ever happens, I will be very happy. That would be something. So let's see. Dinosaurs Terror World says, I did watch your first video and it was awesome. Cool. And Jeremiah Nat, I love monitors at the zoo. Too cranky for me. Dinosaurs Terror World, how are your mealworms doing? Great. I need to actually add some more substrate to their culture, but they're going crazy. Jeremiah Nat says, my blue is like a monitor that is super lazy. See, that's one thing that attracts me to the blue-tongued skinks, I think. And Heather Silverio says, thank you for your videos on live foods. I have happy betas and guppies thanks to you. That's awesome. I love to hear that. That makes me happy. This is the kind of thing I hope that my channel is doing. So knowing that it's doing that for you, that is awesome. So Veranid Guy says, yes, rhino iguanas, Cuban rock, and Simon Brack, etc. Cool. So yeah, those are some amazing lizards. I love those. Let's see. So Dinosaur Terror World, do you have any haters for your channel? Yeah, sometimes I get people who leave rude comments or dislike things, and that happens. But that's actually kind of good, because they say if you have a channel that doesn't have any haters, then you're probably not doing anything interesting enough. So hey, so I can say thanks to the haters too. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Potato Derp says, you know, giant mealworms, the growth hormone ones, can they successfully go through metamorphosis without dying? I don't know. I've heard they can't, but I've not actually tried to breed the giant mealworms, so I'm not sure. And Veranid Guy says, I have a question regarding upgrading to a larger aquarium with fish. Okay, let's hear it. And it says, I keep neon tetras, a couple blue rams, and a couple cories, along with some shrimp and nerites. I recently set up a new 40-gallon breeder. Philip Conroy says, my channel has no one, so no haters. My channel has no haters, must be boring. I just think it's where you are in the progression. It takes a while to get there, to the haters, which is nice, because when you're beginning, you don't really want any, right? Potato Derp says, mine pupated. I think they'll emerge successful. And Jack Bordeaux says, what size is good for morning geckos? I would say you can do a 12 by 12 by 18 Exoterra and then keep up to 6 to 8 adults in it. Or you can do a 10-gallon tank and do a vertical build and do about the same thing, because they're pretty close in size. Or you can do a 10-gallon tank and not do vertical. And I would, you could probably get away with keeping 4 to 6 in there. And Veranid Guy said, I was wondering if I can add the existing filtration, decor, and plants to the new tank and immediately stock the tank, or should I seed with bacteria and wait a couple of weeks? Well, if you're able to transfer the filter with all the filter media, that if it's well established, and you can get it all over there without any significant, wait time, so that the filter goes and there's no like big temperature swings or pH swings or anything as you're moving all that filter media over, you'll probably be okay. And I've done that before successfully. If you have any doubt about that you're unable to switch all the media over without shocking the bacteria based on temperature or drying out or anything, pH swings, then I would go ahead and cycle it first. But if you can just move it all over, it'll be fine, at least in my experience. So what do you use as food for your morning geckos, and how many insects? So, how many insects do I give them, or how many insects of different types do I give them? Well, my morning geckos, I generally feed them Drosophila melanogaster fruit flies, the smaller fruit flies, the wingless ones, and I give them rice flower beetles as well. And then I give them crested gecko diet once or twice a week, and they do really well in that. Of course, I supplement the insects with Rapashi Calcium Plus is what I'm currently using. That seems to work well. I've used other calcium and D3 supplements as well in the past. And they do extremely well on that. When they're hatchlings, they only need 1 or 2 fruit flies at a time, and as they get larger, they'll eat 20 or 30 at a time. I try not to give them very many large insects. I do occasionally give them pinhead crickets because I breed crickets, so I often have them, and once in a while I'll throw those in. Okay, and so Branded Guy says, the existing tank doesn't change parameters at all, no matter what I throw in. No matter what I... sorry, I lost it. No matter what I throw at it, the temps are exactly the same as well as the pH. Okay, well, if you can get the other tank at the same pH and the same temperature, I would go ahead and just, and if you can flip your filters over there without disturbing anything, and you can do it fast, then I would say go for it. How many species of springtails do you have? I think I have 3 right now, maybe 4. I have Sinella curviceta, which is my main species. I have silver springtails. I'm not sure of the species of that one, that came with the bioactive leopard gecko setup, and then I have a very tiny species. I'm not even sure what it is, but it shows up in some of my vivariums, and I think it just came with my original cultures and stuff. And let's see. Philip Conroy says, what are your favorite types of goldfish? Well, I'll tell you what. I really love Jikins. I've never kept them. I've had a Joaquin once, and I love that too, because I really love the more streamlined bodies, but I also love the fancy tails, and so both of those species kind of, fit that sort of mold where they have really nice fancy tails and fancy colors, but they have more streamlined body. I also love Shubunkins. They're one of my favorites too, because again, they have the streamlined bodies, but they have the really interesting coloration, especially Shubunkin with heavy blue. I love that. So yeah, that's I guess those are probably some of my favorites. I really love Moors, especially I love Moors, and I don't know why, because usually I don't like the really fat bodied ones with the funny eyes, but I love Moors too. And I love any really high quality fancy goldfish though. They're pretty much beautiful. It doesn't matter what kind they are if they're high quality. Those are hard to find in pet stores and things. You almost never find them, but almost anything is beautiful. But if I had to say, it would be some of the more highly colored streamlined goldfish, such as the Shubunkins. And how's your how's your crested gecko doing? Oh, they're doing great, all 3 of them. Jake, he's doing well as well. So Verenid Guy, I would be able to just hang the existing filter on the new tank and transfer ceramic rings I have running in a bioreactor. Okay, if you have enough of them and you feel like it's like a large enough quantity of them, you could do that. I mean, the King of DIY does that all the time with like fluidized media, and it's not the same thing, but it's, in a way, it's close. It's kind of related. So Jeremiah Nat says, my favorite goldfish are the black ones. I love black, like the Moors that I like, yeah. And the koi mitts, the jet black koi mitts, I love those too. Probably would never keep one in the house, but I might keep some in a pond. But I've heard that when you do, you don't really see them. So Dinosaurs Terror World, have you ever tried on making vlogs? Not really, although this is kind of like one, I guess. Carmen Patata Anaranjada. I love that name. That's hilarious, actually. Could you do a millipede care enclosure video, or even your vinegaroon? I should do both. I will. I'll eventually do that. I was kind of thinking what I might do for Halloween is like do the creepy, so-called creepy creatures, do like a little feature where I do some of those as a video. I don't know. We'll see. Something like that would be fun. So I might do that. But I will do both of those at some point. And Jeremiah Nut says, the ugly goldfish are still cute though. I agree. I do. They are still cute. And that's part of the deal. But I love the high quality ones, of any variety especially. And Jack Bordeaux says, what state do you live in? I currently live in Utah, and I've lived in a couple states, Washington, Hawaii, currently in Utah. Let's see. And Veranded Guy says, thank you, I may give it a try soon then. Yeah, I hope it works. I hope it works for you. And Veranded Guy says, the old tank can be used to breed scuds. Yeah. Oh, and they are so prolific. They're so crazy. So what animals that your wife doesn't let you keep? No roaches of any kind, nothing with medically significant venom, and no tarantulas, even if they don't have medically significant venom. Those are her rules. So, Lee Sylvester says, what do you think of wasps? Well, I think they're pretty fascinating, especially like tarantula hawks and velvet ants, which are kind of a wingless wasp. I think those are amazing. All right. Oh, Carmen Patata Anaranjada said, that would be awesome and great pronunciation. Thank you. Potato Derp says, what did the Triop say to the fairy shrimp? Where's the patch for that missing eye? I will never make such a horrible joke again. Well, it made me smile, so it can't be that horrible. And Jack Bordeaux says, how do you keep up with the morning geckos always breeding? Well, I actually have a waiting list almost all the time. Whenever I'm breeding them, I never have a problem getting rid of them. I can list them on my local online classifieds, and they're fine. People buy them. I can put them, people contact me on the YouTube channel, and my current waiting list is built entirely out of people from the YouTube channel who want to buy one. I've got now 4 babies, because a couple have hatched in the past week or two, and 2 of them are ready to go. The other 2, I've got someone who's ready for those, and then the next person in line, as soon as these others are a little older, I'm going to contact that person and see. And sometimes, people change their minds because they found some or whatever. So it doesn't always work, but... Oh. Hello, everybody. It's loud. Okay, sorry about that. And there goes the airplane, or helicopter, whatever that was. I didn't see it. Sorry about that, everyone. So Jeremiah says, morning geckos are super cute and always in demand. And I would agree. And maybe I should sell them for more, but I usually sell them for a pretty reasonable price. They're usually a pair, well, 2. No, they're not really a pair in the breeding sense, but 2 for $50 or 3 for $60, and that's what I usually sell them for. And they do really well. I could probably sell them for more. And Potato Derp says, Triops are like Ninja Turtle fairy shrimp. That's kind of true. Let's see. Philip Conroy says, live near an airport? They sound low. We live near an Air Force base. The airport's not that far away, but it's far enough away that we don't have to worry about airplane noises from the airport, the municipal airport, or it's an international airport actually. But we live pretty close to the Air Force base, like 10 minutes drive maybe, and that's why we get all these low-flying airplanes. And Vividin says, whoa, the stream is still going. Awesome. Yeah, this is definitely our longest. I'm going to have to cut it. Dinosaurs Terror World says, are you wearing a blue t-shirt? Yes, I am. This is my Cookie Monster t-shirt. I am a Muppet fan, unabashedly Muppet fan. So there we go. And okay, HC Aqua says, what's the breeding rate of those morning geckos? Well, when they're adults, they produce about 1 to 2 eggs per month. Generally, they skip a month once in a while. It's usually 2 eggs, but it's occasionally 1, and once in a while they skip a month per adult. So yeah. And Jack Bordeaux says, bye, have to go. You should do more live streams. I will. Thank you, Jack, for joining us, and try to catch our next live stream. And the Vividin says, it makes the tap water smell like jet fuel. The fact that we live next to the Air Force base. I've heard people say that. Yeah. So we use a water filter, and it helps. Roger Dedham said, I owned a leopard gecko, but he died. Oh, that's sad. Was it just old age, I hope? It's sad either way. And Potato Derp says, why do Triops keep their Anopolis eye? Is it just because it doesn't do any harm, so they kept that feature? That's a good question. Such an ancient creature, it's hard to say what's going on there. And Philip Conroy says, do you have a website? I do. It's aquarimax.com. I also have a Facebook page, Aquarimax, a Twitter account, Aquarimax, Google+. I've got a lot of those kinds of things going. So Dinosaur Terror World says, keep up the good work, Aquarimax. Thank you, and I will try. And it is about time for me to go. I've got to make another video and do some other things tonight. So if you have any final questions, toss them on out. Hit that like button if you'd like to, and I'll let that, we'll go for that. So Let's see. Do you have an Instagram page? No, I don't. So Roger Dedham says 4 years, is that old? It's not super old, actually. The females can live to be about 10 and the males live longer. They can live to be 20, but you know, it's never known. I'm not saying it's, you know, it's very possible it wasn't a husbandry issue. It could have been something else, because there's all kinds of things it could have been. But yeah, they can live quite a bit longer in general. So, Danger Neon says, you all dat in a bag of chips. I like that. So Efrain Acevedo Jr. says, see you next time. Mayanat Night Russ, tell Kelly I said hi. I haven't sent an email into the show in a while. I will. Is your wife on her way home? No, she's got one more class. She, let's see. Oh, she's staying with my daughter because my daughter has class after. She teaches a class, and so it'll be a while. But yeah, it's about time to go, everyone. So thank you for joining us. I think it's been a real successful live stream thanks to you. So another video is coming up on Friday. I'll be releasing another one. And thanks again for all of your comments and everything. And may the fish be with you.